Hello and welcome back to Jacob's Toys. Please do like, share, subscribe, all of those things. All support to the channel is very much appreciated. In this video we are taking a look at the Hot Toys Marvel's Avengers Endgame Thor figure. Now I opted for this version of Thor for my collection because I quite like the chunkier version, and he also comes with Stormbreaker and Mjolnir, and he's got that braided hair and braided beard look, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool indeed. So this was the version that I opted for. So in the box it's just got the Endgame kind of branding. You've got the large Avengers A, and of course a illustration of Thor, Chris Hemsworth's Thor, just his head there. Now there are quite a few versions of Thor made by Hot Toys, but as I said, I opted for this one just because he looks good next to the Endgame Iron Man and also the Endgame Captain America as well, and just to sort of have that big three in their final cinematic showing was just kind of what I wanted for my display. So you take the shipper off, take the slide case off, and you can see a lot of effect pieces there. So you can't really see the figure a huge amount. You can sort of see the head and the shoulders, but let's just get it out and take a closer look. There are a lot of effect pieces there with the figure, which again was another selling point for me for this particular version. Get the instruction book out. I always like to have a look at the instruction book with Hot Toys first before getting anything out, just to see if there's anything that I should avoid or anything that I should take note of, just in case when I am unboxing them and taking them out, in case there's anything that's a little bit more fragile. Let's have a quick look like that. There we go. The braid at the bottom of his beard. Straight away the first thing says not to wiggle it around because it will snap off. It also shows you where all the batteries go. Looks to me like there's 3 battery compartments, so one in Mjolnir, one in Stormbreaker, and one in the back of Thor. And I thought that he had light up eyes, but they're not light up, they're under a black light. So it says in the book there that all of the effect pieces and the eyes of Thor do glow in a black light. So if you have a black light, you can utilise it for this figure, or you can pick one up. They're a couple of quid on somewhere like Amazon. Now there is a lot of effect pieces here. There's 6 that go onto the figure, there's a handful that go on Stormbreaker and Mjolnir, and there's a couple of extra ones there as well that look like they go on his cuff. So let's just take the top layer of the box off and have a look at the figure itself. First thing that grabs my eye is Stormbreaker, and the reflection, the metallic look on him on it is fantastic, and the same goes for Stormbreaker as well, for Mjolnir as well. They really do look like they're made out of metal. You can see that they catch the light there really nicely. They are very cool, and they light up as well. Now the promotional images show that they light up, and it's got like almost like a thunder cloud, is that the right word? But it, you know, within it. So let's have a look how they look in hand and whether they are as good as those promotional images. You get a whole bunch of hands as well. You've got gripping hands for both the left and right to hold Stormbreaker, both the left and right to hold Mjolnir, and of course some open palm hands as well. Yeah, nice variety there. So you can pretty much have him how you want in your display. Let's actually get the figure out. There we go. He's a chunky old boy. That's not too bad at all. There's lots of little bits of plastic. Make sure you get all of those out. So you've got to take the hands out to get those bits out. But it's well packaged. The other thing that I didn't realise was that the cape isn't wired, which is a shame because it would have been good to have had a wired cape with this figure so that you could get him in sort of more dynamic posing, and maybe use the stand as well, the flight stand, to kind of get him in some kind of elevated position. Oh, just pulled the arm off there, got to be a bit careful, but there is foam under the armpit on each of the arms, so make sure you get that out as well. But all in all, I'm not too disappointed, to be fair. I think the hair's a little bit, darker than the illustration, which is a shame, but all in all, the likeness of him is very good indeed. There's been a little bit of chatter on the internet saying that the likeness of Chris Hemsworth isn't that good on this particular figure, but I do disagree. I think it's much better in person where you can kind of move it around and get the angles and stuff. But yeah, I'm not disappointed at all. This is going to look very cool next to my Iron Man and my Captain America. Now the stand has the Thor insignia on there, and also like a reflective Avengers A as well. So matches the other Endgame characters as well, so that's cool. And you've got one of the Hot Toy stands. The Hot Toy flight stands are the best out there in my opinion. They are so robust, they hold the figures in dynamic poses, they don't kind of falter or move. They're very, very cool, and I always put them on the stand just so they're there, so that if I do fancy mixing it around, then I've got the stand as well. And the clips as well, the clips at the top of the stand do hold the figure without damaging them, so Yeah, they're very cool. But if you're a Hot Toys collector, you know how good the stands are for Hot Toys, so I don't need to talk too much about that. Let me just put the actual stand in place. So yeah, like I was saying, for me, deciding on which Thor I wanted to have in my collection, I didn't want to have multiple versions of one particular character. So deciding which Thor I wanted to have in my collection, I opted for this version just because it was the last time that we got that big three, Captain America, Iron Man and Thor, all side by side. And so I thought that this one was quite fitting. And there was something quite cool about the Viking-y look, the braided beard and the braided hair and the slightly larger rotund figure. Like with all Hot Toys, you also get the batteries for all of the light up compartments, so that's always a plus. You haven't got to go and hunt those down. And by the looks of it, you've got 3 that go into Stormbreaker, 3 that go into Mjolnir, and 3 that go into the actual back of Thor as well to light up the effect pieces. So the 3 that go into Thor are only needed if you're going to use the lightning effect pieces, so like the 6 discs on his armor, they're removable and you can put the effect pieces in, and then that lights up the actual base of him as well. I've got this little screwdriver I picked up from one of the department stores, and it's got various different heads because the screws on Hot Toy figures are all slightly different sizes, and you need to be careful with the screws. They're all Phillips screw heads, but you don't want to kind of over twist it or fray the thread in or anything like that, so you do need to be careful. So I've found that this particular screwdriver is quite good because I can swap the heads out and put the correct part on for the correct screw. So bit of a boring story about my screwdriver there, but it's definitely worth investing in a decent micro screwdriver. There's the 3 pieces in. Let's just twist the handle to turn it on. Wow, that looks cool. So it does look like a cloud. I don't know how they've done it. It's almost like a one-way mirror effect on Mjolnir and Stormbreaker because they're reflective all the way in. You can't see in them at all. But when you switch it on, it kind of gives you that kind of thunder look from within the actual weapon, which is nice as well. It's not just a blue light; it doesn't just light up blue. It's actually got some detailing on the inside of the hammer as well. So I'm just going to tighten this up just so that the batteries don't fall out. Now, as you probably saw, you twist the handle. So you actually twist the handle of Mjolnir. You actually twist the handle of Mjolnir to turn it on. And on Stormbreaker, there is actually a little button incorporated into the Groot arm, because if you remember rightly in the film, it was Groot that grabbed hold of Stormbreaker's axe blade and then kind of chopped his own arm off to create Stormbreaker. So the back piece comes off and there's the battery compartment, and again you just unscrew that and you can get to the batteries easy enough. Now I'm really hoping the effect of the light up part on Stormbreaker is the same as Mjolnir. I think it probably will be because at the end of the day it's in the same pack, so to be able to have the same kind of effect on both of those weapons when you've got him positioned and posed and stuff will be very nice to look at. Now, what I will say, I'm using quite bright studio light in here, so the fact that you can even see the effect piece light up underneath these lights, I've got like 3 lights here like lighting this particular review. The fact that you can see the blue within Mjolnir is quite complimentary of how bright it is, and I don't think the video does it a huge amount of justice of just how bright that is. Let's see if the same can be said about Stormbreaker. Another thing to just point out while I am doing this with the batteries is that the figure has stayed positioned, like he stood up quite nicely, there's no kind of wobbling, so the weight balance on him is quite nicely distributed, so you can kind of get him into a museum pose and he will hold that position without actually attaching the clip from the flight stand. Right, there we go. I think that's about it. Let's just put these batteries in. They are really fidgety. So you do need to be a bit careful. Make sure you get them in correctly. There we go. Okay, so just clip the back piece on. That should be able to go on easy enough. And then just tighten the screw up like so. Spent a long time just talking about putting screws into these particular pieces, but yeah, just doing it in real time. I think it's better to show you how long it takes and the process of doing it as opposed to just kind of cutting it very quickly so that you can't see what's going on. With that said though, I do cut a little bit later on in the video just when I swap the effect pieces out just to save a little bit of time. But there we go. Put the back piece on, it just clips on as so, and then there's the button on the top And there we go. That is very cool. It is actually a lot brighter than I think the video is giving it credit for, because, as I said, there is quite a lot of light, external light. Let's put them both on. So twist the handle. There we go. That looks cool. That is definitely going to make for some good photos. And there's just something cool about seeing him wield both of these weapons in that film as well. So that's another reason why I went for this one, just because to have him all lit up and fully charged and fully powerful, if you like, holding both Mjolnir and Stormbreaker is just a very awesome scene from the film. So to be able to kind of replicate that with Hot Toys is definitely a plus. Nice thing about this particular battery compartment is it's hidden behind the cape. So with a lot of the Hot Toys, of course, the battery compartments are hidden behind things. So like Iron Man, for example, there's parts of his armor that come off to expose the battery compartments. But with Thor, it's just simply there on his back. There's nothing that covers it over. But because he is wearing his cape, it is hidden and out of sight. So there's no way that that would kind of show in a display unless you had the cape up over his head like I'm doing here. But there's no reason for that. So I'm not even mad that there isn't an extra compartment on his back. But they all went in relatively quickly. Just tighten that screw up and then I'll cut so that we can see him with his effect pieces. Now, as I said, there are a lot of effect pieces that come with this. There's a handful that go onto Stormbreaker, a couple that go onto Mjolnir, or one that goes onto Mjolnir, and then quite a few that actually go onto the figure itself. So we'll have a look at those in two parts just so that you can fully appreciate them. But there he is with his batteries in. As I said, I do kind of wish there was a wire in the cape. It would just allow for a little bit more dynamic posing. But anyway, let's cut and have a look at the weapons. Here they are with all of their effect pieces on. One piece for Stormbreaker, and then what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces that go on. No, sorry, 5 pieces that go on Stormbreaker, and 1 piece that goes on Mjolnir. A little bit disappointed that they don't light up off the back of the light inside, if that makes sense. But with that said, they are blacklight compatible. So if you get a blacklight, I actually just don't have one at hand. I'm going to pick one up off Amazon later today. But with a blacklight, if you shine them on the effect pieces, they all do light up as well as the eyes on the figure as well, which is a nice little addition. But that's not all that lights up on him. Of course, we've got those 6 discs on him as well, so we can swap them out. There's also 2 effect pieces that go on either one of his arms. I'm just going to turn these lights down and we'll turn him on so that we can see. Just put my hand behind, can switch it on, easy as that. And there we go. That does light up really nice. And when you actually sort of step back and look at that, that's a really cool effect. And if you think of the added addition of a black light, those effect pieces all lighting up is going to look really cool. So I cannot wait to kind of get those in front of a camera and do a fully powered up black light version of Thor, just to see him in his entirety. But I'm really pleased with this one. You can pick him up relatively cheap in comparison to some Hot Toys. He's not the most expensive one out there, so you can add him to your collection for a reasonable price. But yeah, I definitely think he's worth picking up. Here he is, just a little bit of a closer look. I've taken a few of the effect pieces off of Stormbreaker and removed Mjolnir. I think this is how I'm going to pose him in my cabinet. It just looks like he's ready for the fight, and alongside Iron Man and Captain America, he's going to look pretty cool. Thanks very much for watching. Please do check out my channel. I do a whole bunch of other Hot Toys figure reviews, as well as some other 6-inch figure reviews as well. And of course, like, share, subscribe, and all of those things. All support to the channel is very much appreciated. But there we go. Endgame Thor by Hot Toys. Very cool figure indeed. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you soon.